So today I will be talking about the homeostasis, which is very important, topic in your basic science. And frequently one question from two topics of the basic physiology is asked, like action potential, either long question or one line question from action potential or homeostasis. So I will be dealing both topic, but now I am going to talk about the homeostasis, and later I will talk about the action potential also. And from these two topic, generally one long question is asked frequently. So let us talk about the homeostasis. Homeostasis, you must be knowing that there are various control systems in our body, including nervous and hormonal system, which are major control systems. These control systems in our body, every time if any physiological variability varies in or goes apart from the mean value on either side, body tries to maintain a steady state, that is called homeostasis. I will be seeing the definition, exact meaning also. So let us start. Homeostasis, you should also know that homeostasis is the maintenance of steady condition of internal environment or in the internal environment. So what is internal environment? Let us begin from that. Internal environment, what is it? For example, we we are living in respect to our surrounding, we are living in the external environment. This environment outside the body is the external environment. So the internal environment according to, first this term introduced and described by French physiologist French French physiologist Claude Bernard in 19th century. He introduced the term and described the term internal environment. Internal environment, and since he was French, so he used the French term for internal environment as milieu milieu interior. Milieu interior, actually these two are French words which means internal environment, that means internal environment. Please see the spelling and correct it if spelling is wrong. And also I would like to mention that talking about this talking, I will be taking the main reference from Guyton and Hall textbook of medical physiology, 14th edition South 14th edition South Asia restricted edition. So you can follow that textbook in your country or in your region. Which book is, which edition is allowed, from that textbook you can read. And this book is very important and very useful book you can use in medical sciences. French physiologist Claude Bernard used the term milieu interior to describe the internal environment. What is internal environment? So according to him, what he said, it is actually maintained in extracellular fluid, which is called as internal environment of the body. Why called so this extracellular fluid as internal environment? Because I will again talking in detail about body fluids, but let's have a quick review here. Body fluids, you know, in body, out of 100% body mass, there will be 60 to 70% fluid, and next part will be the solid mass. Like let's assume 60% mass is the of total weight is the fluid. Reference take as a 70 kg person, 70 kg person. Then 60% of this 70 kg will be the body fluids, mainly the water and electrolytes. Electrolytes, nutrients also is there. So 70% of this will be how much? 42 liter. 42 liter. Among them, 42 liter or kg will be the fluid, and among them, and these fluids are distributed as intracellular fluid. Intracellular fluid, as the name suggests, this fluid will reside on inside the cells. There are billions, trillions of cells. These will constitute how much? 40% of the body mass, that is 28 liter will be your intracellular fluid, and extracellular fluid will be 14 liter. 14 liter, that is 20% of the body mass, 20% of the, and this extracellular fluid again distributed in the like your plasma, major chief component plasma, then interstitial fluid, and some other parts of the body. So this internal environment, mainly plasma, I will talk about here plasma fluid, interstitial and some other fluids. So plasma fluid considered as the, or extracellular fluid as a whole considered as the internal environment of the body. Why so? Because for a particular cell, their intercellular component will be different from one type to another type. Some component will be different according to the need, but this plasma fluid, since contains electrolytes and nutrients, so all cells will be taking the electrolytes and nutrients and exchanging their waste product or excess product inside the plasma. So all cells, nearly all cells, essentially all cells is leaving the same same extracellular component, that is same extracellular fluid. All for all cells the extracellular fluid will be same, and they will take their needed their needed component, that is electrolytes and nutrients from the same environment. So hence it is called as the internal environment, because all cells, essentially all cells is living in same internal environment, that is extracellular fluid. Why then internal? Why internal? Because uh, outside the body, that is there is external environment, and inside the body mainly the plasma or the extracellular fluid is same for all cells, or lab all cells essentially in same condition of the extracellular fluid. Hence it is called as the internal environment of the body. So later on, now we will talking about the homeostasis properly. In proper homeostasis, later American American physiologist American physiologist coined and described coined and described the term coined and described the term homeostasis. Homeostasis. These these terms you might be asked in MCQ and Viva, like who coined the term extracellular fluid or internal environment, who called the internal extracellular fluid as internal environment, who was he, like he was French physiologist, what is called in the internal environment in French milieu interior. These questions you might be asked in the Viva and MCQ. Again this question also, that who coined the term homeostasis are defined. American physiologist coined and described the term as homeostasis as maintenance of maintenance of nearly constant internal environment, nearly constant internal environment, nearly constant conditions, in the internal environment. Who described this? American physiologist. Again I will like to mention his name, great name, Walter Cannon. What he called that homeostasis is the maintenance of nearly, please remember, nearly, here is the term nearly constant conditions in the internal environment. But these days, or after him, many authorities claimed that constant conditions is not the so describing or so pleasant word, that that should be used. Instead, they suggest that instead of this using constant word, use the steady state. Steady. Why steady state? What other authorities what called the maintenance of steady state of internal environment, that is of extracellular fluid. Internal environment is called the homeostasis. Homeostasis. Why conflict arose? Because if you see any physiological values, they are in range rather than being a constant number. It is generally in the range, variable range, but these range are not so much variable, but around an average or mean value, that is assumed. And homeostasis, what it does, if the variability varies too much, either up or down or either side, the homeostasis, by means of mainly negative feedback mechanism, tries to return that variability near the mean value or average value, which is suitable for the body, suitable for the body. So again, since this term used and coined or defined by physiologist, one of the great physiologist, you cannot rule out this definition completely. If you use the term constant, please use nearly constant, not only constant. If you use the constant, it will be either any number. For example, it should be like pH of the blood 7.4 only, and if the pH varies either side in a small amount also, that will be the disrupted physiology. But this doesn't happen, so because this pH is also in a small range, like 7.352 of the plasma pH, 7.35 to 7.45. This is average value. In the same way, take another examples. For example, your blood RBC count in healthy men, in healthy adult men, it is 52 lakh plus minus 3 lakh per cubic millimeter RBC count in the plasma, in the blood. That is how much? 52 lakh plus minus 3 lakh per millimeter cube in healthy men, and in healthy woman it will be 47 lakh plus minus 3 lakh per millimeter cube or per cubic millimeter of the volume. Again take for example, in men hemoglobin concentration is generally taken as in the range as 16 mg milligram per deciliter in and plus minus 2 mg per plus minus 2 you can add, like the unit is milligram per deciliter, and in woman 14 milligram per deciliter plus minus 2 again. So what I am trying to show here is that what I am trying to show here is that the physiological values are in the range hence steady state is better term to use and describe this physiological variables. But also notice these values are not too much variable because here see, you can see this variable is not too much and this variable is around a mean value, again this variable is around a mean value and this variable is also around a mean value, hence you can use the term nearly constant, not constant but nearly constant. You have to maintain this blood RBC count near around 52 lakh per millimeter cube of the volume in men and 47 lakh per millimeter cube of the volume in woman. Here again this pH will be around near around 7.4 and this hemoglobin concentration will be again near around 16 milligram per deciliter in men and 14 milligram per deciliter in the woman. So what it suggests, it maintaining the condition nearly constant or steady state. Again I will mention one more thing here, that if there is any definition or any point given by some specific authorities in exam, if you write taking the reference that was given by him, if you mention the name or according to him, according to her, it will be better and examiners will like this, that you are taking the good reference. You can make your in question paper you will be seeing that answer in your own words. Yes, you can write in your own words also, but if you give the reference it will be better. And again now this homeostasis how is maintained, I will describing that. So that is maintained by major pathway is negative feedback mechanism. There are some positive feedback mechanisms also and few feed forward mechanism. I will be talking in detail about all. So this how will when this feedback mechanism will get activated, any physiological values, if any physiological values uh, deviate from the mean value too much on either side, the control system of the body will try to system of the body will try to maintain these values nearly constant or in steady condition. And why this is needed? Why this is needed? Because here in case of this pH, if this pH varies 0. greater or equal to 0.5 on either side, it can lead to the lethal condition and death can ensue. For example, let us suppose either side, here if minus is taken, it will be 6.9, and if plus is taken, plus 0.5, it will be 7.9. Either in this pH or beyond this pH, death can ensue. So you should know how important is the homeostasis, how important is the maintenance of nearly constant conditions or steady states in the body is required, how important it is. Again, you know that the body temperature of normal healthy human being is 37 degree centigrade. If this temperature increases by 11 degree Fahrenheit or 7 degree centigrade, if increases, the cellular metabolism is aggravated such that again that can lead to the death. So from these two examples, you must be clear that the homeostasis, maintenance of the nearly constant conditions or steady state, is very important, and by which mechanism this is achieved? By the feedback mechanism and control system of the body. So let us move on to the feedback mechanisms. Feedback mechanisms. Feedback mechanisms, the major pathway is the negative feedback mechanism. Feedback mechanisms, by means of which steady state is maintained. Feedback mechanisms. The main feedback mechanism most commonly body uses the negative feedback mechanism. Negative feedback mechanism to maintain the steady state. Mainly this negative feedback mechanism. So as the term is negative feedback mechanism, what does it mean? Let's suppose your arterial pressure is increasing. Arterial pressure or body temperature or pH is increasing beyond the physiological limit. So body will try to again return the variables within the physiological limits. So if it is increasing, body will try to maintain normal value by decreasing it or inhibiting it, and if it is decreasing again from the mean value, body will again try to reverse reverse the condition, reverse the process and try to return the value in the physiological limits. So what this negative feedback mechanism is doing? It is doing the reversing the process that will be leading the physiological values either increase too much or decrease too much. So it is reversing, hence negative term is used. And feedback mechanism, negative feedback mechanism. This is literal meaning. Forget that. Literal meaning. Now how it will do? Let's see some example. Some example. Take here. I will be taking here one example, but before moving on to that example, I will explain how it is maintained at first. Okay, let's talk about the example first. Example. In what condition these mechanisms gets activated? If anything is in excessive, if anything is excessive or deficient in the body, this negative feedback mechanism will get activated. And what will be its role? To again return that excessive or deficient thing near around mean value, or average value. So I will be taking here example. Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone, axis or system. Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, what you call as a RAS system or axis. If you take the axis, it will be R triple A. For example, if there is, let's suppose, decrease in arterial pressure, by any causes. For example, it might be the blood loss by trauma, or fluid loss by diarrhea, vomiting, and by any other mechanism. If arterial pressure is decreased. If arterial pressure is decreased, then body's feedback mechanism what will do? It will try to return the arterial pressure again normal. By mechanism, it will stimulate juxtaglomerular apparatus. From this apparatus, the special cells called juxtaglomerular cells, JG cells, it will secrete, it will release from the kidney, it will release the renin. Renin secretion. What this renin will do? Now this renin will through the blood stream go to the liver, will go to the liver. There is angiotensinogen. Angiotensinogen is converted into angiotensin 1 by this renin in the liver. Now question arises here about this renin. In GI or endocrinology, you must have encountered this renin, this term also, double N IN, renin also. Remember, this renin is purely enzyme. This renin is purely enzyme, but confliction arises here. This renin, some authorities believe this is hormone because it is released in the kidney and transported through the blood stream to distant site for its action, and some authorities believe this is an enzyme since it is catalyzing the angiotensinogen substrate into product, so some authorities believe this is enzyme. So at somehow either of the authorities are correct, because by some features, characters, it resembles as hormone, but functionally, as you see here, functionally it is enzyme. Hence you can categorize this renin as both as both hormone and enzyme. Hence it has dual role. But remember, functionally it is enzyme. So better term is used about this renin is enzyme. I will suggest enzyme. This is enzyme because it is catalyzing the biochemical reaction. That are catalyzed by the enzymes. So angiotensin 1. Now this angiotensin 1 will converted into angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 in the lungs by the enzyme called angiotensin converting enzyme, AC, angiotensin converting enzyme. And now this angiotensin to by multiple pathways tries to return this arterial pressure normal towards normal. How? Let's see. This angiotensin this angiotensin 2 is a potent vasodilator is a potent vasodilator, so it will constrict potent vasodilator, potent vasoconstrictor, so it will lead to constrictions of the blood vessels, constrictions constriction of blood vessels, mainly arterioles. It will constrict the arterioles and increase the peripheral resistance, and that will lead to the increase or rise in the blood pressure, towards normal. These angiotensin 2 have some intrinsic activity at renal distal convoluted tubule, left distal convoluted tubule, and by some intrinsic mechanism it will retain salt and water, sodium and water, as like aldosterone, retain salt and water and increase the plasma or extracellular fluid volume. Not only it does so, but the main salt and water retaining hormone is aldosterone. So what it will do? It will stimulate the zona glomerulosa of the adrenal gland or suprarenal gland, and that will lead to the secretion of the increase secretion of aldosterone. And then what this aldosterone will do? This aldosterone will retain salt and water in distal convoluted tubule. This will also do, it stimulate the hypothalamus and stimulate the other sympathetic actions that will lead to the increase in the blood pressure or arterial pressure. So major, it will increase secretion of ADH. ADH secretion will increase, and this ADH uh, will form the aquaporins, will like, let's suppose this is collecting duct of the nephron. So this collecting duct, and this is inner medullary interstitium, which is hyperosmotic. What it will do? It will pour here channels, water channels, that is you call aquaporins, and this aquaporins, through this aquaporins osmosis occur, and from this duct or tubule water is retained in the extracellular fluid. Not only it will do that, it will also degrade the there is one important potent vasodilator, since it is increasing the blood pressure, then it will also tend to decrease the or reduce the factor that is causing the vasodilatation. Vasodilatation. I forget name here. If I remember, I will mention the name. Degrade the vasodilator. Potent vasodilator. Vasodilator. Yes, it is bradykinin. Bradykinin. Besides other function, this bradykinin is potent vasodilator, and it will dilate the blood vessels and oppose the action of this RAS mechanism. So this angiotensin 2 also degrade this bradykinin and prevent that opposing action. So by these all mechanism, body what body is doing is that increasing the arterial pressure towards normal towards normal by all these mechanisms. By all these mechanisms, and these angiotensin 2 will also stimulate the thirst center in the hypothalamus, and if there is excess of water or fluids, the person can take the fluid or water and rehydrate him or her. So by all these mechanisms, the arterial pressure is returned towards the normal by this renin angiotensin aldosterone mechanism. And this is the one important example of negative feedback mechanism. Why I took this example? Because there are many other examples also. Why I took this example? Because this, besides this feedback mechanism is homeostasis, RAS, this system will also is important in the long term maintenance of the blood pressure, that you will be studying in cardiovascular block. So this is important there also. And again, if you want, you can relate here pharmacology also. This since we have talked about the antihypertensive drugs, then antihypertensive drugs that will act on this RAS system, at what point they can inhibit this mechanism. If there is excessive, this function is aggravating or excessive, that will lead to increased blood volume and blood pressure, and ultimately that will be going to form the edema. So to reduce that hypertension and edema by this mechanism, you can use the drugs like renin inhibitor, direct renin inhibitor, as L-screen, and here also this renin inhibition, and here also in this step also AC inhibitors. You know the AC inhibitors like enalapril, captopril, ramipril, perindopril, fosinopril, lisinopril. There are many examples. These drugs, what we will be doing? Enalapril, captopril. What will be doing? This will be inhibiting this angiotensin converting enzyme and again inhibiting this pathway. And the physiological molecule that will do all these functions, you can inhibit these molecules also as angiotensin receptor blockers, ARBs. ARBs, angiotensin receptor blocker, that is AT1 receptor blockers. For example, losartan, valsartan, candesartan, many examples. Losartan, and you know the definition. The drug is any substance or product that is used or intended to be used to modify or explore the physiological systems or to change the pathological states. See, these drugs what are doing? Modifying this physiological system, physiological pathway. So drug is very easy if you know the normal physiology. If you know the normal physiology, you can apply the drug. So why I relate all this? Because in these days, in old sage, there is it was said that एक तीर से दो शिकार. अब वो जमाना नहीं है. एक तीर से एक और दो शिकार नहीं, एक तीर से आप कितने शिकार कर सकते हैं ये मैटर करता है. You have to achieve multiple targets with one arrow to be hero of your field, because this age is full of competition. If you relatively get weakened, not absolutely, if you even relatively you will get weakened, your competitor will surpass you. So remember, this our life is a struggle, very struggleful. You have to do struggle as much as you can, So this is all about the renin-angiotensin aldosterone system. I will take here one more example, that is most of the hormone secretion and action is also inhibited by this negative feedback mechanism. For the returning of the physiological value or states within normal. For example, take here example of let's suppose this is hypothalamus. And here will be your I am drawing very rough figure, try to understand. I am very weak in drawing the figures, but hope you will understand the theme, what I am trying to say. This hypothalamus, and here I would like to draw this suprarenal gland. This is anterior, this is posterior, and this is anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland. So this hypothalamus will release the releasing hormones. This hypothalamus, when act as endocrine gland, this is a part of the nervous system, but when act as the endocrine gland, it will secrete either releasing or inhibiting hormones. So here it will secrete and release the corticotropic releasing hormone or factor, corticotropic releasing hormone, and this will be transported by hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal vessels to the anterior pituitary by hypothalamo hypophyseal portal vessel anterior pituitary, and this will stimulate the anterior pituitary, and the anterior pituitary then will release or secrete the adrenocorticotropic hormone ACTH, and this ACTH will act on the zona glomerulosa, not zona glomerulosa. I will taking about here the steroids zona GFR, zona fasciculata will act on the zona fasciculata layer and will secrete the steroids. Or examples, take act on the suprarrenal gland and will steroids will constitute all mineralocorticoids by zona glomerulosa, glucocorticoids by zona fasciculata, and 6 corticoids by zona reticularis. All the steroids secretion, it will increase the stimulate the secretion of the steroids. Now these steroids, when needed, only it should be secreted, and after the initiating factor initiate this pathway, at some point it will be inhibited, otherwise it will be taking the body's function or mechanism by these hormones exaggerated, so it should be inhibited. So how this pathway is inhibited? If there is excess steroids, let's suppose here example of cortisol, excess if it is secreted, or if the action, desired action is met, it will be again inhibited. So inhibited by negative feedback mechanism, it will this increased level will send the negative feedback mechanism to the this anterior pituitary, and from here ACTH level will be decreased, ACTH secretion will be decreased, and it will again send the feedback mechanism to hypothalamus, and the corticotropic releasing hormone secretion will be inhibited, and this pathway is inhibited. So all these mechanism happens by this negative feedback mechanism. And there are many other examples, and I will talk in detail in endocrinology block about these hormones, mechanism of actions of steroid hormones, protein hormones, what is peptide hormones, amine hormones, what is the mechanism of their action and function of individual hormones, and deficiency conditions and excess conditions also in detail in the endocrinology block. So you can write the example RAS mechanism in your negative feedback mechanism. At least write one example. Too much is not needed. In science, in medical science, you should not think about only increasing the bulk. If you increasing the important point, that outweighs the your bulk quantity. Quality matters. Then take here example of now positive feedback mechanism.